Evaluating exponential expressions. In order to evaluate exponential expressions, we want to use our calculator because the answer can sometimes be a very large number. Locate the button on your calculator that looks like this. If you need help finding it, ask your teacher. We will use this button to evaluate exponential expressions. Look at the example below. Example 1, 5 to the 7th power. Using your calculator, you're going to click 5, you're going to click that button we found earlier, and then you're going to click the 7 button. You should get 78,125. When dealing with negative bases, it is important that we put parentheses in the calculator around the value that we are raising to the given exponent. Let's look at the example below. So we have example 2, negative 1 to the 5th. Now the important thing is that you're putting these parentheses, you're going to press the negative button, which is different than the subtraction button. You're going to put 1, you're going to close those parentheses, and then we're going to use that button we used earlier to the 5th power. And you should get negative 1 as your answer. Lastly, when we are raising a fraction to a given power, simply raise the numerator and the denominator, which is just the top and bottom of the fraction, to the given exponent. Then simplify if possible. Let's look at the example. So we have 2/3 to the 3rd power. So like I said, we're going to raise the numerator to that exponent, so 2 to the 3rd. And in the same way, we're going to raise the denominator to that exponent, so 3 to the 3rd power. And now we want to simplify. So 2 to the 3rd we can put in our calculator, and you should get 8. And then in the same way, 3 to the 3rd you can put in your calculator, and we should get 27. And at this point, we always want to check if we can simplify the fraction, and nothing goes into 8 that also goes into 27. So this is our simplified form. But always make sure if you can simplify the fraction, you should do so. Okay, one thing to be really careful about, whenever there is a negative on the outside of the parentheses, that negative has to stay there once you have simplified the exponential expression. So let's look at an example of that happening. Example 4, we can see the negative is hanging out right here on the outside of the parenthesis. So just remember that that is going to be there when we finish our calculation of negative 2 to the 4th. Okay, so using your calculator, we want to figure out what is negative 2 to the 4th. So let's put it in our calculator. And you should get 16 for your answer. So basically this simplifies down to 16. But then we cannot forget about this negative that was there at the beginning, right? So that gets brought down as well. And our final answer turns out to be negative 16. Just FYI, I spelled denominator incorrectly at the beginning of the notes. It should be spelled like this. So you may change that in your notes if you would like to.